The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky like dark clouds of metal death. Their hulls shined with strange materials that no human weapon had ever scratched. On the largest ship, Commander Velthar looked down at the blue and green planet. Below him, his long, thin fingers moved across glowing screens that showed Earth's weak defenses. "Just another world full of walking creatures," he said to his assistant, staring at the planet. "Their weapons are hundreds of years behind ours. We will own this world in just a few days." The alien attack began without warning. Bright beams of deadly energy hit New York, London, and Tokyo at the same time. The tall buildings melted like ice cream under the alien weapons. Earth's armies shot missiles and sent fighter jets, but they exploded uselessly against the aliens' protective shields. In Seoul, Dr. Kim Hanna watched the alien ships fall from the smoky sky. She was the city's best scientist who studied energy and matter. She knew right away that normal weapons would never work against these invaders. All around her, people ran and screamed in terror, but her smart mind was already working. She watched the alien shields and tried to understand how they worked. "We have to leave the science building now," her friend Dr. Park Soo yelled over the noise of explosions. "The aliens are destroying all the important buildings first." But Hannah could not move. She stood still, watching the alien fighter ships fly between the tall buildings. The way they moved, the energy they gave off, all of it was information she could use. Everything had a weakness, and she would find it far away in the mountains near Busan. A former soldier named Lee Min was already bringing together people who had escaped the cities. Captain Min had spent years learning how to fight enemies who were stronger and had better weapons. He knew this was not the time to fight the aliens face to face. As alien soldiers began setting up guard posts in all the cities, Min's group disappeared into the wild countryside. "They think they have already won," Min told his growing group of fighters as they watched alien transport ships carry human prisoners. "Two camps, but this is our world. Every rock, every tree, every dark place, it is all on our side, not theirs." The world's leaders tried to talk with the aliens, but the Zephyrians wanted everything. They demanded that all humans give up completely, hand over all technology, and become slaves who would work for the alien empire. When the head of the United Nations asked for mercy, Commander Velthar's answer was shown on every television. "In computer screen on Earth, your kind will work for the Empire, or your kind will die. There is no other choice." The alien commander's words were cold and final. "I had done this before on many other worlds." His empire had conquered dozens of planets, and the pattern was always the same. First came the shock of overwhelming force, then came the desperate attempts to negotiate. Finally came acceptance and slavery. But something was different about this world. In hidden underground shelters and mountain caves, in subway tunnels and empty buildings, humans were not accepting their fate. They were planning. Hannah gathered her scientific equipment and research notes. If conventional weapons could not break the alien shields, then she would have to find another way. She had spent her life studying the basic forces of the universe. She would use that knowledge to fight back. Min organized his fighters into small groups, taught them to move silently through the forests and mountains. They showed them how to set traps and how to disappear when the aliens came looking for them. Each group would work alone, but they would all have the same goal: to make the aliens pay for every step they took on human soil. Around the world, similar scenes were happening. In every country, in every city, humans were making the same choice. They could surrender and live as slaves, or they could fight and maybe die as free people. For most humans, it was not really a choice at all. The aliens had made one critical mistake. They thought that because humans had weaker technology, they were a weaker species. They did not understand that humans had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters by being stubborn and refusing to give up. They did not know that humans were the kind of species that would rather die fighting than live kneeling. In his command center, Svelthor watched the reports come in. The major cities were under control. Human governments had stopped fighting. Conquest was proceeding exactly as planned. He had no idea that in 1,000 hidden places, the real war was just beginning. the aliens had come to Earth expecting. To find sheep ready for slaughter, instead they had awakened something far more dangerous. A species that had clawed its way to the top of its world's food chain and had no intention of giving up that position to anyone. 3 months had passed since the alien ships first appeared in Earth's sky. The Zephyrians now controlled every major city on the planet. Their huge floating bases hung over the conquered cities like metal storm clouds, sorting humans into work groups and taking everything valuable from the Earth. Commander Velthor sat in his control room, reading the daily reports with a smile on his strange face. The human farms were producing more food than expected. The mines were pulling metals and minerals from the ground faster than planned. Best of all, the humans seemed to have accepted their new lives as workers and slaves. Only a few small reports of broken equipment and minor problems spoiled what seemed like a perfect conquest. The walking creatures learned to obey very quickly, he told his war advisor. They are fighting back much less than we thought they would. But the alien commander was completely wrong about what was really happening on Earth. In the broken remains of a science building outside Seoul, Dr. Kim Hanna had built a secret laboratory. She worked with broken equipment and pieces of alien technology that she had taken from crashed ships. After weeks of dangerous work, she had discovered something that would change everything. The protective shields around their ships change in a pattern that repeats. She explained to Li Min and his group of fighters, if we can make a strong electrical pulse at exactly the right time, we can make their shields break down completely. Li Min looked at the drawings and numbers that Hanna had written down. His soldier's mind could already see how this could be used as a weapon. How long do you need to make this work? Give me 14 days, Hanna said. I will need parts from the alien bases. All around the world, other humans were making similar discoveries. In the hot, dry lands of Australia, a tracker named Jake Park had learned that the aliens' advanced sensors could not tell the difference between human body heat and the natural heat patterns of the desert. In the thick jungles of the Amazon, a local leader named Maria Cho was teaching resistance fighters how to use the dense forest to hide from alien flying patrols. The Zephyrians thought their greatest advantage was their ability to speak to each other with their minds across long distances. But this mental connection was becoming a problem. Every time humans successfully attacked an alien base or destroyed alien equipment, the fear and surprise was felt by all the alien commanders nearby. This created a kind of mental pressure that they had never experienced before. As a confident, organized empire that had conquered dozens of worlds was starting to feel something new and uncomfortable, doubt, in his command center. Commander Velthor, read the growing reports of broken machines and communication problems. He ignored them and told himself that the human animals were just acting out like wounded creatures before they died. Soon, their simple minds would understand that they had no choice but to accept their fate as slaves. What he did not know was that across Earth, in thousands of hidden places, humans were learning to turn their biggest weakness into their biggest strength. The aliens thought humans were primitive and stupid. This mistake would cost them everything. In underground tunnels beneath destroyed cities, human engineers worked day and night to understand alien technology. They took apart alien weapons and machines, learning how they worked. What the aliens had built to last forever, humans learned to break in new and creative ways. In the mountains and forests, human fighters practiced new ways of fighting. They learned to move without making sound, to hide in places the aliens would never think to look, and to strike quickly before disappearing again. The aliens' advanced sensors and flying machines were useless against enemies who knew every tree, every rock, and every hiding place. The aliens had made their biggest mistake. By underestimating human stubbornness, they thought that once humans saw how powerful the alien weapons were, they would give up and accept slavery. But humans had never been a species that gave up easily. Throughout their history, they had faced impossible odds and found ways to survive and win. Dr. Hanna worked 18 hours a day in her hidden laboratory, testing different ways to break the alien shields. Every failure taught her something new. Every small success brought her closer to the weapon that would turn the war around. Li Min trained his fighters in the mountains, teaching them patience and planning. They learned to wait for the perfect moment to strike, to choose targets that would hurt the aliens the most, and to always have an escape plan ready. Around the world, the pattern was the same. Humans were not fighting the way the aliens expected. They were not lining up in armies to be destroyed by superior weapons. Instead, they were learning, adapting, and preparing for a kind of war that the Zephyrian Empire had never faced before. Aliens controlled the cities and the skies. But humans controlled something much more important: the will to never surrender and the intelligence to turn every disadvantage into an advantage. The real war was about to begin, and the Zephyrians had no idea what was coming for them. The attack began at sunrise on the day that marked exactly 6 months since the aliens first arrived. All around the world, in 17 different time zones, human resistance groups struck at the same moment with perfect timing that shocked. The Zephyrian commanders in Seoul, Dr. Kim Hannah, activated her homemade electrical pulse weapons. The devices sent powerful waves of energy that caused the alien shield generators to fail one after another like falling dominoes. The moment the protective barrier started to flicker and weaken, Li Min's fighters charged forward, using weapons they had built by copying alien technology, but making it work with human materials. Now Min yelled into his radio as his team rushed toward the alien command center. All groups, start lightning storm. The attack was not just about destroying alien equipment. It was about getting into the aliens' heads and making them afraid. The Zephyrians used their mind connection ability to talk to each other instantly across great distances. This system was designed to help them work together perfectly. But now it became a problem because every successful human attack was felt by every alien commander nearby. Fear and panic spread through their mental network like a disease. Commander Felthar watched his control screens turn into chaos. Reports came in from everywhere on Earth. Shield machines breaking down, supply trucks being attacked, prison camps being freed. But the worst part was the feeling he had never experienced before in his long life, the feeling of being hunted by a dangerous enemy. How are they organizing these attacks at the same time? He demanded from his intelligence officer. Their communication systems are so simple and primitive. What the aliens did not understand was that humans had spent months watching and learning about their captors. Every alien habit, every weakness in their technology, every way to hurt them mentally had been written down and shared through secret networks that the Zephyrians never knew existed. In hidden underground rooms beneath Manhattan, a former Navy fighter named Kim Jae had discovered that the aliens' command system had one big weakness. Because they organized everything in a strict hierarchy like a pyramid. If you destroyed the right targets at the top, the whole system would collapse. In the mountain caves of Afghanistan, a fighter named Park Yuna had learned that the aliens' advanced sensors could be confused by simple interference patterns that humans could easily create. The human resistance had grown. Beyond just breaking alien equipment, they were now fighting an information war, using the aliens' own technology against them. Hannah's science team had figured out how to break into the Zephyrian communication system. This allowed human fighters to listen to alien orders and send false information through the alien network. They are not just fighting us, Velthar realized with growing fear. They are learning from us. Every plan we use, they study it and find ways to beat it. The humans had spent 6 months pretending to be defeated while they secretly prepared for this moment. They had watched how the aliens moved, how they thought, how they made decisions. Every piece of information had been carefully collected and shared between resistance groups around the world in the Australian desert. Jake Park used his knowledge of the land to lead alien patrols into traps where the heat and terrain worked against the invaders. In the Amazon jungle, Maria Cho had turned the thick forest into a maze where alien technology gave no advantage and human knowledge of the environment was everything. The psychological impact on the Zephyrians was devastating. They had conquered dozens of worlds, always following the same pattern. First, they would demonstrate overwhelming force. Then the native species would try to negotiate. Finally, they would surrender and accept slavery. But humans were different. They had pretended to surrender while actually preparing for a war unlike anything the aliens had ever faced. What made this attack so effective was not just the military coordination, but the fact that it targeted everything the aliens believed about themselves. They thought they were superior beings ruling over primitive creatures. Now they were learning that these primitive creatures had been studying them, learning their weaknesses, and preparing to turn their own advantages against them. The aliens. Advanced sensors were useless against humans who had learned to hide. In plain sight, their powerful weapons meant nothing when humans could predict exactly where and when they would be used. Their telepathic communication network became a liability when humans could hack into it and spread confusion and fear. As the sun set on the first day of truly organized human resistance, the Zephyrians faced something they had never encountered before, an enemy that refused to accept defeat and had the terrifying ability to turn their own weaknesses into weapons. The humans had stopped pretending to be helpless prey and had revealed their true nature as clever and dangerous predators. The storm was building, and Earth was about to teach the galaxy an important lesson about what happens when you underestimate a species that has spent millions of years learning how to survive against impossible odds. The real war was just beginning, and the aliens were about to discover that they had picked a fight with the wrong planet. The war had changed Earth into something the Zephyrians never thought was possible. The entire planet had become one giant weapon controlled by a species that refused to give up and die quietly. 8 months after the aliens first arrived, every mountain, every river, every human town, and every piece of broken technology had become part of a huge trap. Commander Velfor stood in front of his control screens, watching his empire's perfect conquest turn into a living nightmare. The humans had done something impossible. They had turned their own world into a weapon against the invaders. "Sir, we have lost contact with Mining Station 7, his communications officer reported with worry in his voice. The humans caused a controlled rock slide. The entire building is buried under 10,000 tons of stone. What about the Beijing Processing Center? Velthor asked. Flooded. They opened the water dams upstream. Our ground soldiers are trapped in the lower floors and cannot escape. This was no longer normal fighting. The humans had turned weather patterns, mountain formations, and even their own buildings into weapons. Every advantage the Zephyrians had was being destroyed one by a species that fought with the desperate cleverness of trapped animals in the hidden command center built beneath. The ruins of Seoul, Dr. Kim Hanna coordinated the global resistance. With a skill that would have amazed her former alien captors, her quantum communication network now connected every major resistance group on Earth, allowing for real-time coordination of attacks across multiple continents at the same time. "Strike Team Alpha, tell me where you are," she spoke into her headset, while watching 18 different battles happening at once on her screens. "We are in position at the Tokyo facility," came Li Min's voice through the radio. "The heat bombs are ready. When the alien patrol comes back, they will find their own power source exploding." All around the world, similar operations were happening. In the hot, dry lands of Australia, Jake Park's team had led an entire alien squadron into a carefully prepared killing zone where the harsh environment and human cleverness combined to destroy the enemy completely. In the Amazon jungle, Maria Cho's fighters had turned the thick forest into a maze of death. Using the aliens' own biological technology against them, the Zephyrians' greatest technological advantages had become problems for them. Their energy? Shields, designed to stop advanced weapons, were weak against the simple but effective explosives that humans made from alien parts. Their telepathic communication network, meant to ensure perfect coordination, had become a highway for human-generated interference and psychological warfare. But the humans' most frightening weapon was their refusal to accept defeat. Where other species had given up after losing their major cities, humans had simply adapted and kept fighting. They fought from the ruins of destroyed buildings, from the wilderness, from the very graves of their fallen cities. The aliens had never faced an enemy like this before. On every other world they had conquered, the native species had followed a predictable pattern. First shock, then desperate resistance, then acceptance and surrender. But humans were different. The more the aliens hurt them, the more creative and dangerous they became. Commander Velthar received the report he had been dreading. His supply lines to the home fleet were cut off, his ground forces were trapped on a hostile world, and his own officers were beginning to question whether this conquest was worth the cost. "Sir," his aide whispered with fear, "the humans are broadcasting something. They say they have a message for you." The transmission appeared on his screen. Dr. Kim Hanna's face filled the display, surrounded by the technological hybrid of human and alien engineering that had become the symbol of the Resistance. Behind her, the command center hummed with activity as humans coordinated their global war effort. "Commander Velthor," she said, her voice carrying the weight of a species that had learned to turn suffering into strength, "you came here to rule us. But you never understood what you were dealing with. We are not your subjects. We are not your prey. We are the storm that breaks empires." Her words were not just a message. They were a declaration of war from an entire species. The humans had spent months learning everything about their enemy. They had studied alien technology, alien psychology, alien weaknesses. Now they were ready to use all of that knowledge in one final, coordinated assault, as if summoned by her words. Every human resistance cell on Earth launched their final coordinated attack. From the frozen mountains of Tibet to the burning deserts of Africa, from the deep jungles of South America to the hidden bunkers beneath destroyed cities, humans struck back with a fury that shook the planet, the storm that had been building. For 8 months was about to break, and the Zephyrians were about to learn why Earth was the wrong planet to invade. The humans had turned their entire world into a weapon, and they were about to fire it at an empire that had underestimated them for the last time. The final battle was beginning. And the aliens were about to discover that some species are too dangerous to conquer. The end did not come with one big battle, but with the slow, terrible understanding that Earth had become a trap with no way out. Commander Velthor stood in his command center, watching the final human attack unfold with the bitter knowledge that he had completely misjudged not just humanity's strength, but what kind of species they really were. "Sir, we are detecting huge electromagnetic signals from every major city," his sensor officer reported with panic in his voice. "The humans have turned their entire electrical system into a weapon. What the Zephyrians had laughed at as primitive infrastructure had been secretly changed over months of careful preparation. Every power line, every communication tower, every piece of electronic equipment had been transformed into parts of a planet-wide electromagnetic pulse weapon that could destroy all alien technology at once." Dr. Kim Hanna's voice echoed across all radio frequencies as the pulse built to dangerous levels for every city you burned, every life you took, every freedom you tried to steal. This is our answer. The pulse exploded at the same time from 1,000 points across Earth's surface. Alien shields flickered and died, their advanced technology overwhelmed by the raw, chaotic energy that humanity had learned to control. In space, above Earth, the Zephyrian fleet found their systems failing as the electromagnetic storm reached beyond the atmosphere and into orbit. Li Min led the final ground attack on the Seoul Command Center, his fighters moving with the precision of a species that had learned to turn every disadvantage into a weapon. The aliens' superior technology meant nothing when their power sources failed. Their communications died and their weapons became useless pieces of metal. "This is for every human who died thinking they were not good enough," Min said as he stood over the defeated Commander Velthar. "We were never your prey. We were always your predators." But the humans' greatest victory was not military. It was psychological. Through the aliens' own telepathic network, every Zephyrian in the fleet felt something impossible: defeat at the hands of a species they had thought was primitive. The emotion spread through their collective consciousness like a disease, spreading doubt, fear, and the terrible knowledge that their empire was not unbeatable. The surviving Zephyrian ships began their retreat, but they carried with them something more dangerous than any weapon: the story of a species that had turned an entire world into a weapon, that had refused to accept slavery, that had proven the galaxy's most powerful empire could be defeated by what they had dismissed as simple animals. Jake Park's fighters came out of the Australian desert. Ria chose forces from the Amazon jungle. and resistance cells from every continent to watch the alien fleet disappear into the darkness of space. The skies were clear for the first time in over a year. Dr. Kim Hanna stood among the ruins of Seoul, her hybrid technology still crackling with the energy of their victory. Around her, the city began to rebuild, but it would never be the same. Humanity had learned something about itself during the invasion. They were not a species to be conquered, but a force of nature to be feared. The war had changed both the humans and their world. Cities lay in ruins, but from those ruins came a stronger, more united humanity. It faced extinction and had refused to accept it. It had been called primitive and had proven that intelligence and determination were more powerful than advanced technology. The electromagnetic pulse had not just destroyed alien equipment, it had sent a message across the galaxy. Earth was not a world to be conquered easily. Humans who lived there were not simple creatures to be enslaved. They were survivors who had climbed to the top of their world's food chain and had no intention of giving up that position. As the last alien ship disappeared into the void, humans around the world began to emerge from their hiding places. They had spent over a year living in tunnels, caves, and ruins, but they had never stopped fighting. Every day of the occupation had been preparation for this moment. The galaxy would remember the lesson of Earth. Some worlds could be conquered. Some species could be enslaved, but humanity had proven that there were forces in the universe more dangerous than any empire. The fury of a species that refused to kneel. The cleverness of minds that turned every weakness into strength. And the storm that rises when predators pretend to be prey, the Zephyrian. Empire would spread the warning throughout the galaxy. Avoid the third planet of the Sol system. The humans do not surrender. They do not break. They are the storm that breaks empires and in the depths of space. Other alien civilizations would listen to that warning, giving Earth a wide path and whispering legends of the world that ate an empire. They would tell stories of a species so dangerous that even the mighty Zephyrian Empire had been forced to retreat. Carrying with them the knowledge that some prey is too dangerous to hunt, Earth had won. But more importantly, humanity had discovered what it truly was: not a species waiting to be conquered, but a force of nature that turned every challenge into an opportunity to grow stronger.